So this is the twisted story of Jurassic World's Carnotaurus named Toro. Let's get straight into it. So Toro was a Carnotaurus which was on display in Jurassic World, but was deemed too aggressive to actually keep on display, so they moved it away from the public eye. Toro is the main antagonist for Camp Creatceous Season 1 and appears in nearly every season right up until the final season of Season 5. He is identical to most Carnotaurus, apart from some scars and burn marks which he acquires in some of the seasons, which we'll talk about right now. Toro is a super aggressive Carnotaurus, and this is seen in Season 1, where the fall of Jurassic Park, Toro eventually escapes his paddock and chases down Darius and Kenji, and this is where he actually gets his scar. He goes to chase Darius into this little cage, goes to attack and actually rams the side of the cage, scarring the side of his snout. And that is now the easy way to identify Toro at the beginning of Camp Cretaceous. He is a super aggressive predator and stops at nothing to get his prey, and he is now seen throughout Season 1 chasing the campers through the entirety of Season 1. But this is really where the story starts for Toro the Carnotaurus, because his journey is a strange one. It has twists, turns, gore, sadness, and everything in between for a dinosaur. This is an extremely interesting one. So Toro does eventually catch up to the campers after getting beaten, attacked, falling over, everything in between, and he finds them down in the tunnels of Jurassic World, because Jurassic World has tunnels underneath his park, much like Disneyland, Disney World does in Florida, to keep all the staff running about, etc. Toro finds the campers in these tunnels, and the campers then eventually blow Toro up and scar him with fire and explosives, which make him a charcoaly black colour. It's actually quite aggressive, so Toro gets completely scarred then by this explosion and fire, and now he has got a scar on his snout, and then he's completely covered in like a charcoaly reddy grey. Toro is then seen limping away at the end of Season 1, and then we see Toro at the start of Season 2, where he is yet again in another fight, and this time you really see his scar, his burns and everything, and his coloration, and this time he goes up against Ben and tries to fight Ben, where Ben actually slices into him, and then all of a sudden you see the Ankylosaurus Bumpy turn up and give him an absolute pasting. So Bumpy attacks him with the tail and then pushes him off the edge of a cliff into a ravine, where it is assumed then that Toro has died. So Toro actually falls off this ravine and is obviously going to be extremely injured, and it's assumed at this point Toro has actually died. Now this is where things take a rather drastic and sad turn for Toro. Although he's been physically injured quite a lot in his journey so far, we're still in 2016. So Toro's journey started before Jurassic World opened, and now we're actually at Camp Creatceous Season 5 is where we next fully see Toro. And this again is set in 2016. So it's now 2016 and we see Toro again. But this time it's kind of different for Toro. He's actually being mind controlled by Kenji, which is really sad. You can actually see him fighting the mind control and see him wanting to break free, but he's just being controlled. So Kenji is controlling him, making him do all kinds of sad tricks where he does like a fist bump with Toro, and it really is a sad type of animal abuse for our Carnotaurus Toro there, because he's actually been through the mill. He's been beaten, attacked, scarred, burnt, and now to add to his humiliation, he's now actually mind controlled and is performing tricks against his will. But it doesn't stop there. So now they have Toro under this mind control. They decide to use him to fight other dinosaurs, again against his will, and Toro has one of the roughest rides of any dinosaur, I would say, in Camp Cretaceous and possibly the Jurassic World franchise, because he's been through all these events, all these fights, all these injuries, and is still alive, and now he's brain controlled and there's nothing he can really do about it in Season 5. After fighting many dinosaurs through Season 5, chasing the campers, helping the humans and everything in between, Toro is eventually set free, and what a lovely moment that is for Toro. You see them setting Toro free at the end of Camp Creatceous Season 5. You see him shake off that mind control, and he is then living his life on the Manticore Island in 2016, and that's the last recorded entry of Toro. Now people are saying, oh, there's Carnotaurus in Jurassic World. I believe this to be a different Carnotaurus. So obviously we see a Carnotaurus in Fallen Kingdom in 2018, which is 2 years after the events of Season 5, which is 2016. You see that Carnotaurus on Isla Nublar, so that isn't Toro, that's a different Carnotaurus. And again, you see another Carnotaurus at the end of Fallen Kingdom escaping the Lockwood Manor, which you see here. Again, that isn't the same Carnotaurus, because Toro obviously has that scar on his snout. He has the colorings of the burn marks from where he was burnt at the end of Season 1. So yes, there's a lot of speculation, but that isn't it. But the story doesn't stop there. In 2022, we had Jurassic World Dominion released to the public, and what a story that was. And some people loved it, some people hated it. But again, we saw a Carnotaurus in Malta with an Allosaurus, believe it or not. And from the trailers alone, a lot of people were saying this did look like Toro, and it does look like Toro, but it is yet to be confirmed if it is or if it isn't. A lot of people are saying it is because of the colorations look very, very similar. I believe there's a scar on his snout, and a lot of people are saying it isn't, because how did Toro then leave the Manticore Island in 2016 to then be moved to the mainland and find himself in Malta? That is a completely separate story itself. I personally would love to think that is Toro, and Toro has escaped the Manticore Island. But if that is Toro, again, you'll have even more sadness to this Carnotaurus' story, because he would then have been captured again somehow and have been taken away, maybe potentially experimented on, and lived in this tiny cage box, which you see releasing from in Jurassic World Dominion. So if that is Toro, he would have had a complete life of misery. The poor Carnotaurus, which is very, very sad. Now, what I would have loved to have seen for the Carnotaurus as well is it be akin to the actual Jurassic World, the Lost World novel, where the Carnotauruses can actually go partially invisible like the Indominus Rex, because they have chameleon DNA, believe it or not, because the Lost World Jurassic Park, the novel by Michael Crichton, the Carnotauruses in that actually go invisible, and imagine that for our Carnotauruses. But alas, it was never to be, and we were left with Toro and the other Carnotauruses, but there is nothing wrong with that at all. Also, Toro is the only canonically Carnotaurus in the Jurassic World franchise to be seen killing a human. So he has a claim to fame just there by being the only Carno to actually kill a human. Sure, we've seen other dinosaurs kill humans, but Toro is the only Carnotaurus we have seen to kill a human. We see a Carno eat the remains of Eli Mills in Fallen Kingdom, but he didn't actually make the kill. Toro is the only Carnotaurus to make a kill. So you might be wondering what has actually happened to the Carnotaurus. Where is it in 2022? Because it first starts its journey in Jurassic World in 2015, and now it is 2022. So where is it in 2022? The only information we canonically have is that the fact it is still on that Manticore Island, potentially living out its life carefree after all the abuse, burns, beatings, falls, mind control, everything else in between. It is now hopefully living out its best life there, uninterrupted, unhurt, uncaged, unhinged, everything in between, and it is living there peacefully because it began its journey in an egg sometime before Jurassic World opened. So you can say it could be any time before 2015 he could have been born. He was then eventually put on display but was too aggressive, so was taken off display and taken out of the public eye, beaten black and blue throughout his journey, attacked, and everything else in between. Hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe, check out all my other stories because there's plenty of stories on the channel. Go and check them out now. I'd like to thank my Patreons and YouTube members, so thanks guys for supporting the channel. It does really help, and I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers now, bye bye.